Death does not have to be traumatic for your loved ones. Instead, it can be a celebration of life. Hello and welcome to Season 7 of the Womenpreneur Asia podcast. I'm your host, Krista Gun. My mission is to uncover the stories and strategies of Asian women entrepreneurs in Asia, providing you with insights and inspiration as you navigate your own business journey. In this episode, sponsored by Reebok Studio, we delve into the extraordinary journey of Jenny Tay, a phenomenal entrepreneur from Singapore who has redefined the funeral services industry with a unique perspective. Breaking barriers in a realm dominated by men and laden with taboos, Jenny's story is one of transformation and innovation. She sees the funeral business as part of the hospitality industry, emphasizing compassion, empathy, and the importance of family, relationships, and work-life balance. From challenging societal norms to introducing innovative ideas that humanize the departed, Jenny's narrative is all about shaking up an industry resistant to change. In this episode, Jenny speaks about how she ended up in the funeral service business, as well as explored her path that is filled with bold choices, personal inspiration, and a vision to create a more compassionate and personalized approach during times of grief. If you're ready, let's get into Jenny's story today. Hello, Jenny. Welcome to Womenpreneur Asia.
Hi, Krista. Thanks for having me.
So, Jenny, you are one of my most interesting guests on my podcast for all the seasons because your industry and your business is a little unusual. And also in Asia, I think a lot of people will be interested to also know that you're a woman in an industry that's mostly male-dominated. So, before I let our listeners know what it is, could you let us know a little bit about yourself and what you actually do?
Am I supposed to spill the beans or you?
Yes.
Well, I've been in this business for almost a decade and I'm in the wood business. Do you know what this means? I'm actually in the funeral business. We help people to handle their loved ones when they pass away, and we will take care of the families who are left behind as well.
And it has been something of a journey for you, right? This business?
Yeah, I think it has been a very, very long journey. I think from the beginning of a small business till today, we are running a company of 80 people. It has been a long way in how we wanted to transform the business to what it is today. In the past in Singapore, funeral has always been sort of a taboo. I think being in the business is sort of a taboo. I think people who were used to be in this trade were not very well respected. Especially when I first came in, people would be thinking, hey, you're a graduate, you're a woman, why would you even want to consider doing this? I'm sure you're not even serious at all. They all had a bet by themselves. I mean, my vendor, my staff, I think 1 month we give Jenny just 1 month. I'm sure she will be gone. Yeah, she wouldn't be able to take it. So what I had to do back then was really to prove myself, right? Yeah, I still remember my very first day of work was to volunteer to go to the embalming room when there was an autopsy case, was open body, and I volunteered to go in. And when I went in, there was one manager who was shouting at me in Hokkien, hey, you cannot go in, like you will faint on, you cannot handle. And I was telling him calmly that don't worry, I'm prepared for it. And I went into the embalming room for half an hour, just to observe and to see everything that was going on, like the open body, the skull being taken out and being washed, like how they drain the blood and things like that. So I really watched the entire process. And that was then when my staff feel that I'm serious about it. And that was when things started to change and they see me following them on the ground, doing everything that they do. Yeah, and that's something, that wasn't prepared for, but I went through it because I really wanted to prove myself.
How did you feel that moment when you stepped into the embalming room?
I guess, being mentally prepared although I wasn't from this industry at all, right? I was from the advertising industry, but being prepared that I'm going to see a dead body, I'm going to see an open body, that mental preparation did help me feel very at ease with seeing the body, that it's just part of a journey of preparing them, helping them move on to another space. So that felt quite, I think, quite all right to me. I didn't feel scared. I just feel a deep sense of respect that when we pass on, everybody is the same. When you open up our body, like we are blood and flesh, So that's what I feel, and it's a very literal feeling of our body is blood and flesh, because I'm actually seeing it, right? So everyone is the same. So that gave me a lot of reflection about how we should be as human beings, that we are all no different from one another. It's how we choose to lead our life that matters. Yeah.
So you must have heard a lot of people saying that you must be a very courageous woman, a very brave person, because that itself, the fact that you're stepping into an embalming room would freak a lot of people out.
From young, I'm this very garang girl, the more you tell me that you can't do this, the more I want to prove to you. So the more people think that women cannot do something, the more I want to prove to people that, hey, we can do it. We're not scared. A lot of women are very strong and very brave. So that's my problem. I mean, it's a strength as well, I think, that I always want to prove myself when you tell me that I can't do it. And from young, I have been this way.
So it didn't really faze you at all?
It didn't really, it kind of, I wouldn't say excites me, but it kind of made me feel very courageous to put on that brave front, to do something that is unexpected, that people think that a woman won't usually do. I got into this business truly because of my dad. He was very sick. His family was separated from him. He had a heart attack. And all I want to do as a daughter is to really help him alleviate his burden, his work, because his work is his life. He has always been doing pro bono. Even when I went to hospital to visit him, when he was just had a heart attack in ICU, he was still on his phone trying to help people with pro bono, help an elderly man with a pro bono funeral. So that was when I really felt very bad for him, and I really wanted to just come in to help him. I don't know honestly, I have no encounter with him in his business, in the sense that I don't know what he's doing in his work. I only know he does help people with funeral. I don't know how's the industry like. I don't know how's the business like. But then I really wanted to help him, as a daughter. So that's why I joined the business. And that's why I think that's where a lot of courage stems from that, my love for him.
Before this, did you ever follow your father around when he was doing this business of his when you were younger?
No, actually my father was separated from my mom, I think when I was quite young in secondary school. So the only chance that I could meet up with him is a monthly lunch where I can sit down and catch up with him. And then here and there, he'll tell me about the things that he do. Sometimes he'll tell me about the details of the cases he's handled, because he helped a lot of people with pro bono funeral, right? And some of them are really very devastating. Some bodies are mutilated, and he shared these stories with me. So I kind of know what he does, but I haven't really seen it. I don't know anything about how the industry is, that is male dominated and all. Yeah. So I was really diving into the deep end. I totally don't know what I'm in for.
Any of your siblings in this business?
My elder sister is now in the business helping my dad as a operator. So my dad is a half-day operator. My elder sister is a half-day operator. Yeah, so my dad always liked to talk to the families, and when family hear his voice in the middle of night, a lot of the time the clients will tell me, hey, I didn't know the person I spoke to at 3 a.m. is Mr. Roland, Uncle Roland, because they are so shocked that, why is Uncle Roland, he's almost 76 this year, and he's still answering the hotline in the middle of the night. And when family hear his voice, they are very relieved, and I think they get a sense of, how would I say, peace, like hearing him. So he likes to be that first point of contact. But of course, I want him to not be so tired, so my sister came in to help him as well.
So is that what you mean by operator, as in answering the phone calls that come in
Yes.
any time of the day?
And the first point of contact for families, like, somebody passed away, when families need help, they will call, and the operator is the first line of contact.
It must be a pretty stressful job, unless you're trained for the industry.
Train for the industry. I guess when you say train for the industry, right, there's really not so much, not a lot of training that you need from. I guess you're talking more about customer service, empathy, like compassion, whether you have those attributes. Because if you don't have those attributes, then you're not going to be able to be in this industry for long. You really need those, because when family calls you, they are sad, they are angry. Anything that you say may trigger them easily. So you must be able to understand those points, and you must be able to show up in your best for them. Yeah, and compassion is very important. To be kind, to be understanding. These are attributes that we look for in someone that we hire. Not whether you have experience in this industry, because I don't believe in that. From the beginning, I think me and my husband, when we took over the business, we hire from outside the industry a lot. We hire people with attributes that we believe is necessary to help the families that we serve, not whether they are from the industry. A lot of people from the industry are very locked down in what they think the industry should be, which has been very outdated, which is not about customer service, which is not about serving the family. It's really very logistical, like back then it was like just like, I don't know whether you know the game Diner Dash. It's really like putting the coffin down, setting up everything, like making sure everything is there, move on to another funeral. And that's not what I want a funeral to be. It's really about taking care of the families, of the deceased, making sure that they are at peace, making sure that they're well attended to, so that they can grieve together with like the whole extended family. Make sure that the space is comfortable, make sure that it's not intimidating, not morbid, like the setup that used to be from before 10 years back. As like nothing was changed like 10 years ago. The way funeral was like 10 years ago and 20 years ago was pretty much the same, because the industry didn't change much, because people didn't have much motivation for change. So when we came in, we were like so shocked. Everything was so appalling to me. like it's the same as how I felt when I was a little girl, when I walked past the HDB void deck, and then I'll be so afraid to walk past a funeral, because it's all covered, and inside the tentage looked very dim and looks very more scary, and nobody dared to walk past it. I will always make a detour. Yeah, that was what happened when I was young. And then 10 years back, when I first joined the business, it was also same, it was the same, and I had the same feeling, and that was something that I truly wanted to change. Yeah, but nobody wanted to change with me. My vendors were like thinking I'm crazy, things has always been the same over the past 10 years. Why is it necessary to change? People wouldn't appreciate that. Why do you want to make a difference, right? And I was like thinking in my mind, everything has been the same because nobody has changed.
And nobody dares to voice their frustrations at how appalling that whole funeral setup looks like.
When your dearest family pass on, you're already so sad, you really need time to grieve. Maybe people don't think that more can be done. The family may not think that there's more can be done to how sad wake like environment can be, but actually it should be very soothing. If with respect to how things are in our neighboring countries, in Japan, Taiwan, even in the Western countries, it's all done very dignifiedly, and I believe that Singapore should be the same as well. We are such a first world country. Why shouldn't it be that way for the funeral industry? Just that the funeral industry is industry that not much people want to work in. So that's why there is a difference. That's why there's very little innovation. Whereas overseas, is actually a very well respected job. You need people who are really very service oriented, have compassion, to be in this business. In Taiwan, Taiwan and Japan, there are courses to be funeral directors in the university, but I guess it's different in Singapore. Like we are not so service orientated in that sense in the country, so that's why there's not much people who want to work in this line as well. Yeah, but things are different now. When we first joined the business, when we first came in, like the first thing that we wanted to change was really the image of funeral directors in the industry, because that's one of the very first worries that like I hear, like the older folks in the industry tells me, like, next time there wouldn't be people working in this industry. How can you essential business not have anyone working in the industry? What will happen when people pass away? Who will help to attend to like the families? You mean they carry the bodies themselves? No, right?
That's right.
So we have to find a way. We have to find a way to deal with this manpower issue. Why are there not much people who want to be in this business? Is it an image problem? It's a taboo issue, right? It's a problem of how people view the industry, how people view people who work in this line. So I think the most important thing for us when we first joined the business was to really change the image of funeral director. Starting from the very basic, like their uniform. In the past, like the funeral directors wear shirts, like unbuttoned, then like put a cigarette in their pocket, and then wear sleeveless. Sometimes they
Sounds like
smoke
gangsters to me, right? Sounds like gangsters, right?
Yes, it's quite rough, and the industry was like mostly people who are in the 40s or 60s. A lot are very dialect speaking, and it's a norm. It's a norm, so everybody accepted it. Yeah. And we wanted to, we first came in to change their uniform and to make sure that they wear shoes. And making sure that they wear shoes took us 6 months, because every time they will try to wear, because they are used to it. Because they are used to, being sloppy. Everyone in the industry does the same thing. So it's very, very hard. Yeah, and the people in the industry, like they work in, like jumped from one company to another company, and they have built the habit. After that, we changed their uniform. Inspiration, I was like searching for a nice uniform. My inspiration was like David Beckham. I saw him in a very nice vest and a nice black vest and a grey shirt. And then it looked so nice. So I put on my stuff in those outfits, with shoes and a tag. And I initially they felt like uncomfortable. Why am I wearing this? We are not used to wearing it. But then when I see like the families addressing them by name and giving them more attention, and I see them like start taking selfies of themselves in a uniform, I think that kind of works. It kind of make them feel better about themselves, because when they feel better about themselves, when they respect themselves more, then people will respect them. Then that's kind of like a cycle, right? And that then they will be able to serve the families better, because now the families respect them as well as the funeral directors, and not just an odd job laborer in a sense. So that helps to change their mindset about themselves. And then slowly we start seeing more and more the younger generation that join the business. I think we are also quite thankful that back then there was quite a lot of media attention on our industry, on our work that we do, and that propelled a lot of like younger people to be interested in what we do and join us. The majority of our staff is between 20s to 40s, and yeah, we are very thankful, that things start to change. And of course, I think one of the things that we do is to really view us not as being in the funeral industry. We are not a funeral industry. We are in the hospitality industry. Our job is to serve families who has lost their loved one, to make sure that we attend to all their needs and to make sure that they're well taken care of. So I believe that we are in the hospitality industry, and with that, it opens up, the way we view what kind of staff we need, the kind of attributes that we need in the staff. That's why we start hiring people who has very good event organization background, who have very good customer service experience background, and that helps to open up the pool of people that we can hire. And that's how we slowly start to, change the profile of our workforce to make sure that there are more people who are able to join our workforce. And that helps us kind of like solve the problem of what the old people think, next time nobody will want to work with us. That's one of the biggest steps that I think was important in revamping the business, which is the image of funeral directors and the attributes that we need in the job.
I think that was a really smart move by, really looking into what was lacking, right? You looked at what was lacking, what wasn't right in the industry. I'm sure personally you've experienced that the moment you stepped into the business. And I think I also know that you grew your team from 5 to 80 people. And that is something that you are really proud of, because now you're attracting younger people, and therefore that you wouldn't ever fear that no one will ever join this hospitality industry anymore.
Yeah, hospitality industry. It's all about reframing, right? Reframing about what you're truly doing, what you're really doing. I think it's likewise for a lot of business as well.
But I think also because you came in with fresh eyes, right? I mean, you were not in this industry for so long until you didn't see it anymore. I think because you came also with your background in advertising, you could see improvements that you could make to the business. But was there a lot of resistance? I mean, I know you mentioned that, some of them didn't quite want to wear shoes and still wanted to wear sandals and all that, but
I mean, that was a very basic that was very basic kind of resistance, but for sure there's resistance in everything that we do, like from the beginning, even from my own dad, because he has been in this business for 30 years, right? Of course, when I came in, I didn't want to, be disrespectful and want to make this change, make that change. Of course, I shouldn't do that. So I didn't. Like for the first year, it was really, being on the ground, making sure I observed everything that is going on, build rapport with the staff, make sure that I know what's going on before I start proposing any change. And of course, change can't come like, everything at a go. It has to be in waves, like slowly, one change by one change. And when they start to believe that the change that you make works and makes sense, then they will start having more confidence for you to do more. Just like for the event backdrop. In the past, I was asking, why the event backdrop has always been the same? For example, for Buddhist backdrop, right? Why has it always been the same? And everyone in Singapore uses the same backdrop. Why? And like I asked everybody why, and they were like saying, because it has always been like that. Because it's tradition. Yeah, and tradition is a very loosely used word that I believe the industry always use. Tradition meaning that, it's tradition that people have been using it for the past 10 years, so you can't change it. And that's the meaning of tradition. So I went on deeper, to think about like the idea of why this backdrop, what the significance of this backdrop, what does it symbolize? So it symbolized like in the olden days, funerals are held in a house. So like the Chinese name of this backdrop is called 三门四柱. Like that's 3 8 to the backdrop, and it resembles a house. And the coffin is housed within that, like the inside of that backdrop. With that thought in mind, it's actually mimicking a setup that is very comfortable for the funeral to be in, so that it mimics a house. Make sure that it's comfortable while retaining like the traditional religious symbolism. So then we went on to this. We wanted our backdrop vendor to do it, but none of them want to do it because they don't have the expertise, and also they don't want to make change. So then in the end, we just we just do it ourselves. We got event organizer, backdrop people to help us with it. We redesigned something that is very different. The typical backdrop, nice backdrop that you see that can be used for weddings and all that, but there's more solemn, more peaceful, more toned down, in terms of the color scheme. So, and then when we did up the setup and we wanted to use it for our first case, everybody was so hesitant. Nobody used it before. Are you sure the family will be okay with it? They are very cautious. But when we put it up, and after the whole funeral, they were telling us, wow, this is so beautiful, it's so elegant. My friends and all that are saying that this looks approachable and soothing. It's not like in the past, the morbid setup that people see already, they'll feel like scared already. Like, why do we want people to feel scared when they come to a funeral? That's not what we want. We want people to feel like at peace, that it's approachable, that is something that, when people sit in, they'll feel very comforted with the family, right? So that's the kind of vibe that we want to create for our funeral setup. And from then on, our staff, my dad, competitors, people who know that, hey, it works, then, they start accepting it. And we see people in the industry start changing as well. They start developing new setups and backdrop, and it's good. I think overall it brings an improvement to the industry as a whole. And slowly we start to do more things, and it's all been very well received by the family, in the sense that they feel happy that the service are evolving, like the environment of the funerals are evolving to be more modern and more, I think, more palatable to their preferences and the changing needs, because people modernize, their needs differs, and we change together with them. That's very important.
Yeah. I think what you brought into the industry was something like a fresh breath of air, where a lot of people wouldn't change things because they felt it was tradition, right? Tradition can be a catch-all word for let's not do anything, an excuse for not doing anything, because that's just how it is. Nobody needs to do anything different. But here you come and you shake things up in the industry, and you make people start looking at things. Okay, maybe it could be a little different. But in a way, what you do is also setting the standard for a more professional services in what you do. Okay. And what do you enjoy most about this business since you've been in it for 10 years?
I think what I enjoy most about this business is really the stories of people. Sometimes when we sit down with families, or even sit down with our funeral directors who serve the families, they will share with us stories of the loved one that passed away. And through that, we can really see the relationship within a family. Something that we do for the families is that we have a little biography of the family before the funeral happens. We have some interview questions for the families to tell us more about the departed dear ones. And then from there, we will churn out a little biography that we place on every table of the wake. So the idea of that came by when, every time we see friends, guests who attend funerals, they will sit down and ask the family, oh, what happened? How did he die? Can you imagine, as a family, like you say, repeat that, how did he die? How many times? 100 times to every guest that arrived. That's so terrible, right? So
tiring,
we thought,
also.
what? Yeah, tiring, and you keep rehashing like the pain that they have. Like it's sad. So we thought, why not we have this little biography of like the deceased, like to find out a little for the guests to take look at it, read it and find out a bit more about them, like what's their favorite food, what do they love to do. Some of them love to cook, they have a secret recipe, things like that. And then when the family sit down with the guests, then they can talk about it. Hey, I saw that, like Uncle John, loves to cook and his favorite recipe is this. Like, how's the recipe like? Would you share? All these memories, sweet memories, and then when the family talks about it, they'll feel happy to share, and it wouldn't feel so draining for them to keep rehashing that pain, right? Through that, we also get to read these stories, and it's really very heartwarming. I mean, we can, through the funeral and the things that they write, we can actually see whether the family are tight-knitted or not tight-knitted. Yeah, and that brings a lot of reflection for us as well. And on a day-to-day basis, yeah, we are always literally saying that, trying to feel that today is going to be my last day. I really got to treat everybody very well. I got to, cherish the time that I have with my family. And I think that's one of the most meaningful thing about being in this industry, that is to really to seize the day, carpe diem, to cherish everyone around you as though today is your last.
Yeah, I think that's a really meaningful message, because I think a lot of people, when we go on our day-to-day lives, we don't think of that. even though all of us will eventually come to that end point in life, right? It's that
Yeah.
people, and that is why in Asia people don't talk about death and die, and they don't make it seem like it's part and parcel of life. And that is
Yeah.
why what you're doing, and I like this part about you doing a little biography of the departed one, so that there's some conversation starters when people come for the wake.
Yeah.
Instead of just sitting down and, okay, what do I do? And sometimes it can be also a little bit uncomfortable because sometimes we may not know the person very well, or we may not know the family members. We may know the person, but we may not know the family members very well. So I guess that helps to break the ice. So, but where do you get that idea from? And I'm very curious about that, this biography thing. Is it
I
through
think
talking?
well, I think like my husband and I, like we really believe in storytelling. We believe that a funeral tells a story of the deceased. Their life story is sort of a life celebration. So a lot of times that, when people attend a funeral, is really to see the the story, like unveil of that, dearly departed. And that's how we have that idea, we want to tell the story of the deceased. We want to make sure that people who attend, it's not just attending the wake of a stranger, but someone who they know, who understand, who they can hear their life story and why they are here, rather than just attending a wake because they have to. Yeah, so that's where we have that inspiration from. Really, is about storytelling of people. My husband is a storyteller. I mean, he writes books for children as well. When I first started, I helped my dear friend, with his dad's funeral. During the funeral, we saw a little girl. The daughter was asking, where is grandpa going? And the mother was sharing with her that grandpa will be going to the crematorium tomorrow and will be burned. Yeah. So she took a literal understanding of it, and then she was playing the Lego. She put grandpa on the bed and then started say, this is the oven, I'm gonna burn grandpa, and it's so morbid, right? So we thought that a lot of parents actually have problems explaining death to children. They find it very uncomfortable to explain death to children. So we created this book that is in a very whimsical manner for parents to explain to kids, like where are their loved ones going to go when they pass away. So then from there we had another storybook about like remembering grandma through her food, because if you think about it, a lot of times when you remember your grandparents, it's really through their cooking, the favorite food that they cook for you. So yeah, we wrote a very heartwarming book about remembering grandma through her food. So it is a story for families to read together, to really learn to appreciate their elder generation at home.
I was just very curious about your husband and his storytelling and the writing of books to help parents and children understand this process of what people are going through, their grandparents passing on and all that. So where are his books sold?
Actually, on our website, you can find it on our Direct Funeral Services website. There's a link that will direct you to purchase a book. But for us, the books are given to all our families that we serve for free. I mean, we for our families that comes to us, we want them to use this book as a tool for them to share, like about death to the children, to the families, in a more heartwarming manner. So that's something that we do for free for our clients.
It is interesting because sometimes it's very hard to explain it to a younger child. So yeah, I think it's a great service that your husband is doing. Any other books? Is he working on any other books or any other in the same series?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a series. Working on it. We do have a book that we wrote with a estate planner, a lawyer, and financial advisor to really talk to people about the last will. The book name is The Last Wishes. So really, the kind of things that you need to take note of when you want to plan for the end of life. Funeral is one aspect of it. So that's one of the book that we created for adult. Yeah, but we have a couple of things coming up. So can stay tuned and watch on my Instagram.
I think one of the things that I really think that is good for you coming into this industry is that I think you have a lot of ideas. I think you're a very creative person. You come up with different things like the book, right? I think the book is a very nice touch because at least people have something to use to talk about.
I'm thankful that I have my husband together with me, and we are a wonderful tag team. I think we are fated to be together. When I joined the business, he was in the hospital with me when I volunteered to join my father. He truly joined this business out of love for me because he knows that this industry is like so like rough and so male dominated, and he wanted to do this with me and to take care of me as well. He used to run a counseling practice at Camden Medical, and he used to do hypnotherapy for his clients who are dealing with grief, who are dealing with depression, who are dealing with problems that they want to resolve for themselves. And it's similar. I mean, what he's doing now, helping people process their grief, helping people who are grieving, is similar. So I think he is in his element to really want to help people. That's why it's very natural for him to think of such things, like on the different ways to help. Yeah, so together, I think we work very well as a couple to always discuss and debate on how should we improve on what we are doing. How else, like when we see a problem that our families are facing, when we see like them having a challenge, we'll try to work around it and see how we can help them improve on that service experience. Yeah, so I'm thankful that I have a great partner in life. Yeah.
A partner that compliments you, really, right? Compliments you and also helps you with all your brainstorming and ideas for the business.
Yeah, I mean, that really helps. And also having a great partner, I also have to have a great village of people behind me. Like my families and extended families was helping with like really my own internal customers who are my kids. They are my customers, they are my boss. Because I have 3 kids, right?
Oh, 3, okay.
I have 5, 3 and 1. Yeah, and it's difficult if I don't have a village behind me to like really help us with the kids. So we are quite thankful.
What's a typical day? I know there's no typical days, but if there was a typical day in Jenny Tay's life, what would that look like?
Actually, there is a typical day now. I think that after being in this industry, after being in the business for 10 years, like for us, we plan for this day. We plan for the day that we have kids and how we want to structure the business in a way that is different from what it used to be like in the past. Because in the past, my dad has no day, no night. He has no time for us. I hardly see him when I was growing up. I don't know what is going on in his life and all that. So I didn't want that for my kids. And people in the business always say that, if you're in this business, you're 24 hours on call, right? But that's not what I want for myself and not what I want for my staff, my team. That's why one of the things that when we first did when we joined the business was really to implement, shift work, off days, like 6-day work week, 5.5-day work week that we hope that we can achieve work-life balance. We want our team to have work-life balance. We want to have longevity in the business so that, it's sustainable. People who join our trade know that, hey, it's not a business that has no work-life balance. I can be in part of this meaningful career, but still have work-life balance. I know when's my off day, I know my proper shift work. So that's what we wanted to implement for our team and to have that kind of structure for ourselves in our life as well. So I'm thankful that I have a very strong team with us, and that we have structure in our business and everyone has a role to play. So, and also with a strong village of people who are helping me, then we have more work-life balance from there. Otherwise, when we first started the business, we also have no work-life balance. It's in the middle of the night, got a phone call, I also have to go help the client, right? And that's not sustainable. So now, a typical day for Jenny is in the morning, we have breakfast with the kids, we send them to school, and then whatever meetings and arrange whatever meetings, I need to meet the team, I need to talk to our staff, I need to meet the partners or vendors, I'll try to schedule it in the morning or early afternoon. And then By the time the kids come back, then I can spend time with them, bring them out for their extra curriculum. And if I can squeeze time in the morning for an exercise or in the evening for exercise, then I will do so. And that's the kind of routine and structure that I try to like have in place for our family so that we can have work-life balance. And that's like really important, right? Because of what we do, we are in the funeral trade. The things that are most important are relationship and the bond that you build with people. And that's what we come to realize from, being in the funeral industry. And that's what we truly want to practice. We want to truly practice what we preach, right?
So I'm glad you said that there actually is a typical day, because I was afraid you're going to say, okay, there's no typical day because there's so much happening in the day, right? I know that it's not a usual 9 to 5 office, but at least you're trying to bring your team and yourself towards that direction so everyone can be in this industry and serve people.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you have to understand, if being in this industry allows you to understand the true meaning of life, which is really to build connection, to spend time with the people that you truly cherish, then that should be the way we try to, implement structure and work-life balance for our team as well. Yeah.
Since we talked so much about the business, right, I want to talk a little bit about Jenny. What is something that you're no longer afraid of?
No longer afraid of? Lizards. No longer afraid of lizards.
Sometimes some of the women on my podcast will say they're no longer afraid of speaking up. They're no longer afraid of trying new things or getting out of their comfort zone. Things like that, So they used to be afraid of something, but right now they realize to hell with it, right? They're not going to be bogged down by all that.
I'm no longer afraid of saying no. I think that's a problem that I used to have in my 20s. I want to please everyone. When people ask me to go for something or do something because of peer pressure, then I would say yes. But because time is so precious, I have 3 kids, I have a business to run, I have family, I have friends that I really want to connect with. Like, time is so precious, and I've really got to be very, very selective in terms of the time, that the things that I spend my time on. So now I'm more inclined to say no to things that doesn't align with me or things that I'm not really interested in. Yeah, and I guess that comes with age.
With wisdom, right? Getting wise.
Yeah, I think that comes with age, and I think people who you love, people who truly cares for you will understand your reason for saying no. And people who don't really care about you, who don't understand that, you don't have to really care so much about what they think also. I feel life is too short to care about, everything. Yeah, you really got to care about the things that truly is important to you.
And what personal goal are you currently most focused on?
Personal goal, getting back into my fitness routine. I used to be really active. It was easy to plan routine in my life when I had 1 kid. With 2 kids, okay, I still could do that. But with 3 kids and everything that is going on is just so hard. I feel guilty for even going out to shop, sometimes I hardly go out shopping, for myself, for my own me time. And when I do, my kids are running behind me, and I feel bad for making them wait. And then if I do bring them out and I want to shop, just one shop, I just scan the clothes, I try on something, I don't even queue. I just order online. I say, okay, I'll order online. I don't want anything that makes me to queue, because I'm so short of time, and that's why I hardly go shopping outside. Yeah. And even I think sometimes, even when I shop outside myself, which I hardly do, I'll feel the pressure of shopping because my kids are all waiting for mommy at home. Have a family dinner to go to. I'll just quickly, I give myself 1 hour, to walk around, and I want to hurry up to rush home. I think that's a problem that I have. I feel guilty for doing things for myself, which I shouldn't, because I really am dedicating my whole life to everything around me, right? But I should not feel guilty for shopping. Yeah, I like shopping. I like dressing up. Yeah, but I don't have much time to do it. So I tend to order online more.
You need a personal shopper then.
No,
Someone who shops for
that
you
spoils the
on your behalf.
that spoils the fun of it.
And
Yeah,
what about crazy things? Any crazy things that you've done in your life?
crazy things.
Hmm.
Crazy things that I've done in my life. I don't know. People think that being in this business is crazy. Well, I think when I was planning for my wedding, and I was thinking like of the kind of wedding photo shoot to do, like I had a crazy idea to take photo in a coffin, since like that's my life, right? That's what I do, and that's going to be my life work. And I think that's one of a pretty crazy idea,
I think I read
because
about
like
it too. It was on the news, right? It went viral.
yeah, it went viral like overnight. Every publications in the world was contacting me, BBC, China, India, everywhere. When the news got published in Straits Times, then it was on the cover. I started receiving a lot of emails and phone calls, and I even went up to BBC to attend an interview. Like so frivolous, right? Oh my God. Yeah, but it's not frivolous in the sense to me, because when people want to do a wedding photo, they want to take photos at somewhere that means something to them, that is meaningful to them. The places that they met, like their like a destination wedding or things like that. But for us, me and my husband, we joined a business out of love. I joined out of love for my dad. He joined out of love for me. We are in this business for life. So what's best way to celebrate our union than to talk about what we are in for life, right? It's something that we choose together out of love. So we thought that it's very meaningful. And of course, it's not something it's not an easy decision to make, to associate wedding with a coffin. We wanted to do something very whimsical, Tim Burton kind of setup, make it very whimsical, not morbid. And yeah, our photographer did a very great job. And when I shared this picture to my friends, one of them is a reporter, and he said, like, hey, do you think I can share this on the papers? Like a small segment. I was like, later people got backlash how we are in a Chinese society, Asia. Everyone is like so taboo about such things. Somehow I'm lying in the coffin with my husband. So I was quite scared. But I just hack it you just go write it nicely, make sure that just write it nicely with the fingers crossed, we see how it goes. And thankfully he wrote the piece very beautifully with our photos, and like the kind of reviews, the kind of like a feedback that we get online, especially in the Asia region, very positive. Like it's all like very beautiful, brilliant.
Did that
It's
surprise you?
very, very nice. Yeah, it surprised me.
Because you thought it would be like a backlash, right?
The backlash mostly 70-30, 70% positive. I mean, with something that goes so viral, like definitely that's a lot of comments. But like glad to say that 70% positive, like only a handful, 30% is negative feedback. But a lot of the negative feedback, we were quite surprised, came from like Western countries, and Asia was like, yeah, a lot of it was very positive. So we were very, very surprised.
Very interesting and also very crazy. I'm sure no one I bet no one, unless you're in the industry, would do something. So after you've done that photo shoot, has anyone else ever followed in your footsteps?
I think I saw somebody doing it after that, many years later, I think. But
Also
it only makes sense to do that. I think it only makes sense to do that if we are in the business. Otherwise, it's quite gimmicky, right? It's not easy to accept such a photo shoot unless you have a strong explanation for it. So if you are like normal individual and then you want to lie in the coffin, I think you'll receive a lot of feedback, or it may not be received well by your families.
So one more question before we get to the end is, if you could turn back the clock and knowing what you know now, what would you tell a younger version of you about life?
I think when I was young, I guess what I would tell them is really like, this too shall pass. I would explain to them the meaning of this too shall pass. I think when you're in a moment when you have a challenge, you have like difficulties in your life, sometimes you will be very bogged down by it and you will affect yourself, your emotional state of mind. You don't have an appetite, you let go of doing whatever you are doing to focus on that problem and issue. But remembering this too shall pass, that in a week's time, in a month's time, in a year time, like how you feel towards that situation or challenge will change. It will be a learning lesson for you. It will definitely be resolved one way and another. Yeah, so don't beat yourself too hard. Don't be too hard on yourself when you face a challenge in your life. Go through it, learn from it, understand that 1 month later you will get through it better. You will be stronger from the situation. You won't be as frightened as you are at that point in time. I think when I was much younger, when something happened, I'll be like, sometimes I can't eat properly, I'll put everything down and try to attend to that situation. Yeah, but now as I get older, I understand this notion better, right? This too shall pass. I'm calmer when I handle the situation. Yeah, and to get things done, and even whatever challenge that come by, I will not be as affected as I used to be when I was in my younger days, because this too shall pass, right? Everything will come to a point whereby things get resolved eventually, and you get stronger from there. Yeah. So that's what I'll tell my younger self.
Yeah, such good words of wisdom too. I think a lot of people, sometimes we fixate too much on the here and now, that we can't really see beyond today, and everything is just focused on trying to solve or trying to overcome the problem at this stage in our lives, not knowing that tomorrow's another day. We will, have to wake up and we will face it no matter whatever happens.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the setbacks that you have 1 year ago, how do you feel about it now? Right?
Probably
The
I've
setbacks that you
forgotten
had
about
10 years ago. Yeah, how do you feel about it now? It will pass. It will eventually pass no matter what. Time heals, like how you feel. So if you know that it's going to be how you feel like in a month's time, why don't you get there now and just try to handle the situation calmly? Right? So that's how I feel now, and that's how I'm able to deal with things more calmly. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Jenny. But before we go, where can people find you or connect with you online if they want to find out more about you or what you do? I know they probably know what you do right now, but maybe, where can they connect with you?
Well, I think if they want to connect with me, they can connect with me on my Instagram, JENNYTAY_9909. 9909 is my father's favorite number, so that's why I put the 909 behind
Okay,
it.
9909. Okay.
My Instagram handle. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people does connect with me on my Instagram, especially people who are interested in what I do or want to find out more about, what I stand for. Yeah, so you can connect with me. And we also run quarterly charity event for elderly who are staying in one-room HDB. We bring them out to different places like parks, bird parks, zoo, and all that. So, yeah, a lot of my volunteers are from my Instagram as well.
I really hope that your story will inspire other people as well, because to look at every day as precious, to look at every day as a way to live your life better, because I think at the end of it, we all want to live our lives better, right? With our families, with the people around us who love us and who we love. So thank you so much, Jenny, for spending time with us, because I know, since you say you've been very selective, so I'm very privileged and very honored that you decided to come on my show to talk about your story and to give an in-depth look at what happens behind the scenes in the funeral services industry. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal. I had a good time chatting with you.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through Jenny Tay's inspiring story. When I first heard that Jenny was in the funeral services industry, I really wanted to interview her. She's one of the rare females in an industry that is really male-dominated, and on top of that, one that many look upon as taboo, especially in Asia. Yet throughout our conversation, Jenny showed that death doesn't need to be morbid or frightening. She brought respect, compassion, and creativity into an industry that wasn't well regarded and raised the professionalism levels for funeral service providers. Jenny's fearless approach to challenging stereotypes and outdated practices in the funeral services industry is a testament to the power of breaking norms. She shows us that with determination, we can reshape even the most unconventional spaces. Secondly, her emphasis on the humanity within the funeral business is a game changer. Jenny's commitment to compassion and the personal touch reveals the transformative potential in industries often wrapped up in taboo and tradition. Lastly, Jenny's dedication to work-life balance underscores the importance of living life and valuing relationships, not just in business, but in every facet of life. Her story reminds us that success isn't just about professional achievements. It's about creating a fulfilling and balanced life and living life knowing that we all face the same end. How you've lived and loved is far more important. Never live life fearing death, but fear that at death's door we have not truly lived. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? Thank you, Jenny Tay, for sharing your insights about living our fullest and richest lives. And to you, my dear listener, thank you. Your support means the world to me. If this is your first time with me, remember to support the Womenpreneur Asia podcast by rating, reviewing, and subscribing. If you're a returning listener, thank you for making my work worth it. And as always, keep rocking the entrepreneurial dreams, and I will see you next Friday.